Once I press the record button, got it, fab, I will reintroduce us. Good afternoon, everyone, for the third time now, I think. Nice to see so many faces on my screen. My name is Shona Okeke-Jakowski. I'm a Senior Public Health Strategist here at Brent Council in the Public Health team, and welcome to our breastfeeding webinar, which you've named helpfully Tips, Myths, and Everything in Between. You are warmly welcome. And yeah, just thank you for taking your time to be here today. So if we could move to the next slide, please, Stephen. Great. So before we get started, I thought I'd let you know a little bit about why we're doing this. So this webinar forms part of our Start for Life program, a program set up to support families just like yourself who have young children to have the very best start in life. There are three main areas of focus. The first to support breastfeeding in the long term, supporting families like you to have good emotional well-being, and lastly, to provide information and support around parenting. But today, specifically, we are focusing on breastfeeding, and we're joined by a very special guest who will be sharing us some of our tips and tricks and evidence of information around breastfeeding, supporting with sharing, kind of dispelling some of those common myths around breastfeeding, sharing some information with you around how to get support as you continue on this journey. And lastly, most importantly, to hold space and celebrate your breastfeeding journey. I'm sure there are many ups and some downs as well, but hopefully by the end of this session, you'll feel reinvigorated to pick up breastfeeding wherever you are in your journey. Next slide, please, Stephen. Great, thank you. So we're going to have some ground rules just to make sure that we can have a safe space this afternoon. So Jayshree, if you could just share that into the chat now, and I'll just run through those quickly. So we want to hear your views, we want to hear your thoughts. Your views are very much welcome, but yeah, please do remember that when you're sharing either on the sharing live or sharing in the chat, that please be kind and please do be respectful. The second is to please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. This will just help us to make sure that everyone can hear one another. The webinar is being recorded, so yes, please do turn off your camera if you do not want to be recorded. And lastly, just remember that everyone's on a different journey. We would love to hear your thoughts, but everyone's in different places. So again, let's just keep that in mind as we're going through this session. You will receive the slides at the end. So yes, you've got to follow up on all these things or any questions you might have after this session. Next slide, please. So I would like to welcome Anthea Tennant-Isles. So Anthea is a breastfeeding peer supporter. She works for the Breastfeeding Network, who are doing lots of work in Brent, and she's going to lead us through the next 20 minutes or so, and then we will end with some questions and answers from all of you. So Anthea, how are you today?
Oh, thank you, Shona. Yeah, very well, thanks. I'm also cold. Sitting here a bit cold.
Thanks, Anthea. I'll hand over to you now.
Thanks, Shona, and everyone at Brent Council for having me speak today. So just to introduce myself, I'm a breastfeeding peer supporter. So that's a mum who has some breastfeeding experience, and I've trained with the Breastfeeding Network to help others. So next slide, please, Stephen. And I know that the council really wants to give time for the question and answers, so I'm going to do a kind of quick run through to give everybody here space, but maybe I'm hoping that these points that I'm about to go through will help you think of some questions that you can ask later on. So, fulfilling the brief, top tips and myths. I'm just going to have a couple of slides on top tips. So, one useful thing is just to think about soon after your baby's born, that this after birth is now being called sort of the fourth trimester. So it's about baby still developing just outside the womb, and almost the human baby can't kind of progress further in the womb, but there's still a lot of developmental stages afterwards. Next. Stephen, I realised I can't click through, can I? The wonders of skin to skin, that's really important point to take, and it can last from birth and beyond. It's always lovely. I mean, at birth, it's really important. It can regulate blood sugar levels and body temperature. So really important physiologically, but also really important for bonding, relaxing baby, that time to get to know you. Stephen. Another tip is to think about the first milk, which is called colostrum, which is very thick and yellow. It's sometimes referred to as liquid gold. So it's really thick and yellow because it's very condensed. It's got all the nutrients and all the immunity that the baby needs for that first feed. And so just having that first feed can make such a difference. Next point, please. And that also breastfeeding releases oxytocin, which is an important hormone. It can help you feel relaxed and calm. So hopefully that also helps with that bonding. So like I say, it's got emotional and physical benefits. And as I talked about evidence-based, there's unicef.org.uk, which has got some really good research articles. So it's one good place to go. Next slide, please. More top tips for you. So sort of about day 3 to 5, you'll find that the milk changes from colostrum to mature milk. So that's when it looks more like the milk that we're used to. And at that point, there's quite a lot of hormonal changes. So you might be feeling quite teary, and it's absolutely normal to be feeling that way for that short amount of time. Really useful to know about how milk supply works, and your midwives and health visitors can talk about that. You can look online for lots of information. Remember that you and your baby are a unique pair, and so what you're hearing from one pair might not necessarily be what happens for you and your baby. And so milk supply, how often a baby feeds, which I'll talk a bit later about, that's unique to you. And also just to know about positioning and attachment. And the NHS has lots of information on that, as do the breastfeeding charities. And again, we've got some information on the Breastfeeding Network website. Next. So when's baby ready to feed? Feeding cues are a really good tip to know about. These early feeding cues, when babies start stirring, the mouth's opening, turning their head, it's a good time to pick baby up and attach to the breast. Then you get the sort of then we get mid-feeding cues, stretching, some more physical movement, the hands to the mouth, the lips, tongue coming out. So again, really good times, all of those, to put baby to the breast. And then next slide, please, Stephen. This is baby too hungry now. Got missed those feeding cues, but it's fine. It does happen quite a lot. And that's a time when baby's crying, agitated, turning red, often attaching to the breast at that point, not going to be the easiest. So calm baby, have a cuddle, talk to them, skin to skin again, and then you can try to feed. So some more general tips. You can't overfeed a breastfed baby. So what is responsive feeding? You might hear a lot about that in your antenatal education. So it's looking out for those cues. It's feeding when baby's asking to be fed. And like I said about that unique pair. So if you're talking to someone and they're saying, my baby only wakes up this number of hours, then yours might be different. It's all about your own milk supply. Is baby getting enough? Or you can look for the nappies, what's going in should be coming out. And there is guidance on that as well of how many wees and poos that you should be expecting. And I think your health visiting and midwifery will talk about that, and you can find it online as well. There's a key point, which is we're all about peer support, so training women to help others, and you've got all the excellent support locally in Brent, the infant feeding group. So don't suffer in silence if it hurts. Look back at your information, positioning and attachment, but do seek support. And just to remember that breastfeeding is a new skill to learn. So find your support network, whether that's family, friends, locally at the groups. Yep. And finally, just a few breastfeeding myths. Just checking on my time. It's good. So the Breastfeeding Network about a year ago did a sort of myth-busting social media campaign. So I've just pulled a few out from them because we want to get the Q&A session, engaging with that. So if you can think about what myths you were told about, and was there anything you'd like to share with other people? And I'll just go through a few now. So next slide, please. And here a little one. You need lots of equipment to properly prepare to breastfeed. So no, you don't need many equipment. I'll just read it out. You don't need any special equipment for breastfeeding. You may want to invest in a soft cup nursing bra for comfort when your breasts change after birth. So that's again that milk transitioning. Your breasts might become larger from that colostrum when the milk comes in. You might hear that referred to. If you want to express, there are low-cost options such as hand expressing, and we can support you through. Yep. You should avoid spicy food while breastfeeding. So the fact is, it's important that breastfeeding mothers eat a varied and balanced diet to stay healthy and maintain their energy levels. It actually benefits your baby to expose to a variety of flavours early on. Baby will recognise familiar tastes from their mother's milk. So if you're someone like me who very much enjoys spicy food, that's a good myth-busting point. Next one, Stephen. If your baby feeds all the time, it's a sign you should introduce solids before they are 6 months old. So we know that the guidance is to introduce solid 6 months and beyond, and when baby's showing signs ready to be introduced solids, guidance recommends 6 months. It's normal for your baby to feed more frequently at different times. This doesn't mean your milk isn't sustaining them. Breast milk changes with your baby's needs. And actually what we find is when baby is introduced to solids, it's the milk that's actually the high calories that's still being provided. So you might find that they actually feed more frequently, even when you're introducing solids. And next one, I think we're nearly there. It's very short, actually, Shona. There's something wrong if you don't love breastfeeding your baby. But the fact is, we do hear a lot that breastfeeding comes naturally and that you instinctively know what to do. But in reality, it is a skill that can take time and practice. This can be hard for some parents, and most experience periods when they're finding it tough. We're here to help, as are all the local support groups. So just knowing that it's actually okay to walk in and not be having a good time with it or not enjoying it. And there's people who can listen and understand. And I think, are we on to... So just as a final slide, because we're involved as volunteers in the National Breastfeeding Helpline, so just a reminder of that, and that there's also language lines. So there's support in Polish or Welsh, which is the same number, and you press the options. And then there's also a separate number there for support in Bengali and Sylheti. And that's it.
Thank you, Anthea. That was really, really helpful. Just a really nice run through over everything. We'll come to questions and comments, and please do put your hands up if you'd like to ask a question or put something in the chat. But I really like how you ended there, which is that actually everyone's on a different journey, and there's no shame in asking for help. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about some of the questions that mums have come to you with, some of the concerns they've come to you with in the past.
Yeah, I mean, often actually Charmaine, who's a volunteer coordinator for Brent, we were talking about it, weren't we? Whether to sort of include, a lot of people are worried that they don't have enough milk, or the opposite, that they've got too much milk, and how do they manage it? Sorry, I've missed where you are now, Shane. Yeah, so too much milk or not enough. You know, there's often opposites.
Yeah.
And I think the big one was about the nappy outputs, and just that having the confidence to know that you are giving baby enough. And yeah, if you're looking for the nappies and normal behaviour.
Yeah.
There's one more thing as well, which is cluster feeding, we call it.
Okay.
And often at certain nights, there's the baby's feeding all the time, you know, but you're not satisfying them, and you sort of feel like there's something going wrong. I haven't got enough milk, or it's not enough for them to relax. But it's just remembering that there's a lot more going on in a baby's development. It's not just feeding, there's the brain's developing, the body's developing, and sometimes it's just you're doing the right thing because you're holding them and it will pass, and it's a temporary thing. We don't really know what causes those fussy evenings, it's called, or cluster feeding. We don't know what causes it, but we know that it's normal,
Yeah.
that every baby has that.
I think that's really helpful, just to kind of have that wider picture, that there is so much that the little baby is also doing, as well as figuring out whether when it's hungry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's really, really helpful. We've had a question in the chat about support for breastfeeding across the borough. And so Yvette is on the call. Yvette is our infant feeding lead. And thank you, Yvette. She's very helpfully put the link in there to all the clinics, but there are actually clinics available throughout the week for all Brent residents, and they're completely free. So please do get that support if you need it. I had another question, unless we have one from the group. Please do put it in the chat if you feel like asking. Can you breastfeed a baby for too long? Is there a maximum for breastfeeding?
No, there's not a maximum. So I liked your title actually saying, beyond breastfeeding, birth and beyond. No, it's whatever you as a mother or breastfeeding parent is comfortable with. As the baby grows, actually the kind of benefits move towards an immunological. And so the antibodies, it's not necessarily that you're feeding them as a young baby, they're putting on the weight or growing and developing, but your immune system, what you're feeding, what you're experiencing through life, whatever viruses and bacteria, you're then sort of passing that on in small amounts. So it's building up their immunity no matter how old they are. So yeah, it's really down to that, to you as a breastfeeding parent.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And again, if anyone has any comments around, or anything they can share around maybe how they've continued to breastfeed, particularly when it's been quite hard, I'm sure other parents on the call would love to hear yeah, how you've kind of continued that breastfeeding journey, and what's been helpful to you, what tools have you used. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about liquid gold, which I really love that phrase, liquid gold. At what point in the fourth trimester would a parent harvest that liquid gold, and where can they get support to do that?
Yeah, so I think that's probably one for the feeding team as well, if there's anything local. So different areas might have their own pathway. I know that we were mentioning, it's a very small amount that you're expressing when you're looking at colostrum. Is that what you were referring to, Shona, or just generally?
Yes.
No. And that actually it's like I said, it was very viscous, it's thick. So you often express that into a syringe. So in the hospital, like at Norfolk Park, locally, they will support you to do that if you do need to. And there are certain groups that the midwife might recommend that you do that.
Thanks, Yvette.
Shona, Anthea,
yes.
There's 3 nice questions in the chat.
Lovely.
If you want to read any of them out, from Maria, Ryan and Alexandra.
Great, thank you. So I'll take Maria's first question. I went for a breast augmentation 8 years ago. I wonder how to know whether I will be able to breastfeed. I heard about expressing colostrum might take time and patience. How will I know whether to give up too early or whether I cannot express milk? Thank you. And I can see that Yvette has come through already, and they're having a little bit of a chat. But Anthea, I wonder if there's anything you can say around kind of breastfeeding after breast augmentation. Is there anything you can share with the group?
Yeah, I mean, I probably won't go into the specifics now, but there's lots of resources online for it. So it can depend on the surgery and what's been done, I think, from what I understand. I don't want to pretend I'm an expert. So as peer support, we believe that the breastfeeding parent, the mum, are the experts, and we sort of help navigate that. So we would work with you. So who asked? Maria. Yeah, we'd work with you to talk more about it, find some resources, find the information. And we definitely have the skills. Our peer supporters know how to support with hand expressing. So where your milk ducts are positioned and how you do that. We all have a knitted breast and a doll. So yeah, we would work with you. We do, if you do want to get in touch, Maria, we can chat a bit more as the peer support team in Brent. I'm sure people will be would love to go into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can take time and patience antenatally, but I think it's really important to talk to your midwife, because there are some cases which are sort of risk factors of they would recommend not expressing too early. So again, that oxytocin is being released, which is also linked with birth. So we don't want to sort of trigger that. So talk to your midwife, I think, is probably the best thing, and then talk to some peer supporters if you want to just find out more information.
Thank you, Anthea. I can also see that Yvette's also added that there is specialist support available through the lactation consultant who work in the infant feeding team. So they're available, and again, you could, if you link in with Yvette, and through the link that she shares in the chat, Maria, you'll be able to have some one-to-one advice to support you long term. But I think that's a really good question, one that probably a lot of parents might be concerned and worried with how you do that. So great question. Ryan, are the benefits of breastfeeding lost if we couple it with formula? Really, really good question. I know that I have had friends who have struggled with breastfeeding in the really early days and then brought in formula, and that's been a real concern for them. So can you add any light to that?
Yeah, and I think actually you need to get a balance, and it is that unique pair, isn't it, between your mental health, between what is the physical benefits, as we know, as science tells us now, but also there's so much more to it, isn't there? There's so much more, you know, in terms of benefits, like I say, mental health. But we can't also escape that there are certain things. There is a new research coming out like around microbiome and how much that's in with breastfeeding and skin to skin and feeding at the breast, for instance. You're sort of building up the microbiome more than even express milk in a bottle or formula feeding. So, but no, any amount of breastfeeding is great because, like I say, about that immunity. So I wouldn't say it's lost, but maybe just reduced.
Great, okay. And like you said, there are lots of other benefits that come with breastfeeding, like Alexandra has also put in that kind of skin to skin stuff is really important too. And so yes, it might be a little bit mixed, but that bond you're having with your child is also really important. So Alexandra's put in here, my son is over 2.5 years and I'm still breastfeeding. Love those moments when we are so close and have our time. And that's really, really lovely. To be able to kind of have that special time between you and your child is so, so important. And so any time you can do that is great. It's really, really great. And of course, there are going to be kind of ups and downs in the way that parents can do that.
Yeah, and I think coming back to that, because we support people to stop as well. And it's about celebrating any amount of breastfeeding. Definitely. And when it's time for you to move on or bring in formula and do both, then, if that's your choice and you make a evidence-based informed decision to do that, then that's just the best thing. Because I always say to parents as well that, this early stage is just one part. Then there's so much more parenting to come, and I think it can be really hard, difficult if you're not getting the birth or the feeding experience you might have thought about. But it's just a small part of this child's journey. And yeah, we're all doing the best we can, and we shouldn't have guilt or, there's enough guilt, isn't there, being a parent?
Absolutely. That's really brilliant.
But yeah, great to see someone successfully breastfeeding for as long as they want.
Yeah. And again, if anyone has any tips about how they've managed to do that, that would be lovely, I'm sure, for others on the call to hear how to keep going when it gets really, really difficult, when those nights are very long and tiring. And also how we can support partners to support us with breastfeeding, I think is really important as well. So anything anyone wants to share, that would be brilliant. Some really fruitful conversation here, some really interesting questions that have been coming through.
I think Yvette makes a good point about maximising as well, and for people to realise that it really is a lot of it depends on the age of the baby. So, knowing that you might want to introduce some formula, but further down the line, you might want to sort of reduce that or increase it. It's just things can change. It's not a sort of one-way road. But it does, again, it's about talking early on to people, speaking to your health visitors, midwives, peer support, and just sort of saying, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and seeing how it can impact your journey or if it's easy to go back to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely does. And it makes me think about that kind of sixth month point where parents then think about introducing solids. And that's a whole new journey to think about. Too much, too
Yeah,
little, how do you mix with milk,
gosh, I
feeding at
know.
night time. Do you have anything you can kind of add about kind of supporting parents through that kind of 6 month change? Any advice around that would be really helpful.
I mean, a vet might say something as well. So there's what the kind of guidance is locally, but I know anecdotally a lot of parents really enjoy the baby-led weaning,
Okay.
which is kind of where baby's sitting up ready to introduce solids and picks it up and eats rather than the pureed. I know women who do both. So it's finding what works for you. But I think the tip is around making it fun. This is a time for the baby to explore foods, explore textures, rather than be thinking, yes, I need to get this into the baby, fill its stomach up. And I know lack of sleep is always a huge factor, throughout all this time, isn't it? But I think, again, anecdotally, there's no evidence that the sleep just happens depending on how you feed the baby.
Yeah, of course. Yvette, did you want to come in here around introducing solids and kind of advice for parents as they balance breastfeeding and starting solids? Anything you can share that would be helpful?
Yeah, so while you are introducing solids, you could still continue to breastfeed as well. We do run in Brent our introduction to solid session, so we welcome as many parents to sign up for that, where our team will support you in terms of introducing a variety of healthy foods for your baby, and also if you support in terms of continuing breastfeeding. So all of that is, it can still continue, and is still advised to encourage to do it as long as you want to. At the same time, introducing solids around 6 months of age is what's recommended. So we run our introduction to solids sessions as well across Brent. So if you are interested in joining that session, then I'll put in the Healthy Weight team email as well for you to contact them regarding infant nutrition. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, Yvette.
Someone
Thanks,
asked.
And it's great, isn't it, to go to these sessions, just not only for the information, but I guess meeting others there.
Yeah, definitely.
Another nice question in the chat there.
Can you breastfeed if you have a premature baby?
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is yes. And again, it can depend on the stage. If you're in the neonatal unit at the hospital, they'll be advising you, supporting you with what stage the baby is at development. So I actually saw a really interesting kind of talk at Baby Friendly Initiative conference, and the signs of being ready to feed or developing for a term baby is actually the same journey for a premature baby. It just is extended. It's all kind of taken out. It's just longer. So looking out for those signs, like those hunger cues, basically, they'll be happening along the way, and to celebrate the baby's development when it gets to that. But it might be that they're tube fed initially. But again, that's kind of in the midwifery departments. Will have anything to add on that, Yvette?
Sorry, yeah, is this regarding the question about can you breastfeed a premature baby? Yeah, so you can breastfeed a premature baby. I think the key thing is that every child will be different. So what is advised is that you get the support and get the appointment as soon as you can. So if you do need support in terms of breastfeeding your particular child, because we'll have to do an assessment as well, just to see on the best way we can support you and look at the circumstances as well and see what works and what doesn't work. So you can contact us in the infant feeding with our infant feeding email as well, and we'll be able to book you in an appointment to see you.
And I think the hospitals really value the breastfeeding or using breast milk, because actually it's really important, isn't it, on that point.
Yeah, and it's really important that we ensure we don't leave those babies behind either, because it's a very specific journey, isn't it, having a premature baby? There's so much stress and anxiety around everything. So yeah, thank you for that kind of call. If there is someone who does really need that support, so premature, with as a parent of a premature baby, that support is available, and you might even be lucky to get a vet face to
And I think
face,
also linking in with
one-to-one
other
support.
parents.
Yeah,
Yes, other
absolutely,
parents who have been through that same thing can be
definitely.
so useful, and you'll find different support groups at some
Yeah,
of the neonatal units will have.
yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if just on that point, this might be a good opportunity just to kind of introduce Charmaine. So Charmaine is a volunteer who has joined Brent, and she is a peer supporter who aims to support mums, her and her team, to support mums across the borough, to kind of provide that one-to-one space to to talk about breastfeeding, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the stuff you might not want to talk to your partner to, or talk to someone else to. So that will be a space kind of just to mums, for mums to share with other mums and other parents. So when that's up and running, I hope that Charmaine will see many of you there. Just have a look at the chat, see if there are any other questions. Oh, great question from Brian. How can I bond with my baby when my partner is breastfeeding? As an expectant dad, I'm worried I feel isolated in those first few months. Oh, Ryan, thank you so much for being so honest about the journey of a parent. I think as a partner, I think that's really, really important to recognize. So thank you so much for joining this webinar and for asking that question. And Fiona Vet, I wonder if there's anything you can share from a peer support point of view and kind of a clinical point of view. What can Ryan do to support their partner?
So yeah, I'd just like to comment that is a good question in terms of bonding. What can the partners do to bond with the babies? And what we recommend is a lot of skin to skin contact. So that could be, you know, any time when the baby isn't on the mother's breast, skin to skin. Even when the baby is breastfeeding, you could, you know, sit close by, sit close by, be there, be around. All of that is good. And also, if your partner did want to, you know, you to be involved with feeding, there's no harm in expressing the breast milk into a bottle, so that you can also, as the baby gets a bit older, you can also take turns in feeding. But you know, it just depends on what you feel comfortable with. If you wanted to also you know, be involved with feeding the baby in that way. But a lot of skin to skin is really good, and you could do that as many times as you want. So that would really help you to still bond with your baby.
Lovely. And Thea, is there anything you'd like to add here?
I suppose there's a lot you can do to support the breastfeeding parent mum as well, around, you know, the nappy changes. I mean, I think, yeah, skin to skin is the big one, because it's so lovely, you know, however you can do that, however you decide to feed your baby. Yeah, cooking, cleaning. But all of that is kind of supporting the breastfeeding parent. And I think you know, it's understandable to be worried, but when you see it happening, and you know that you can support it in other ways, that bonding will happen, like you say, through the cuddles and the nappy changes and the talking to your baby. So
Thanks, Anthea. Just wanted to reflect again on Alexandra's comment, which might also be helpful for Ryan. From my own experience, I would highly recommend to sign up for the local Family Wellbeing Centre from Brent Council website. Those centres provide so many free sessions for babies, parents, and they do educational classes too. And thank you, Alexandra. You're essentially a co-host on this call this afternoon.
And about bathing babies, you said, that's a really good point, isn't it? It's all these things that gives mum a rest. Or
yeah, exactly. So while mum's having a rest, Ryan, you can go and take your baby and get involved in something that's free happening, hopefully around the corner from you. So that's just another opportunity to get to know more, and also to find out more about what your partner might be going through as well. And yeah, Yvette's just kind of said there, the majority of their sessions and support actually take place at those family wellbeing centres too. So if you want to support your partner by going along to those sessions, you absolutely could. Alexandra, when my baby was small, my husband really helps with bonding by doing lots of skin to skin. So again, and helping to get ready for bath time. Perfect. So yeah, that's some lovely advice there for you, Ryan.
Vita's. something as well. Baby's already familiar with your voice as you'll be chatting away while baby was still growing. Your voice will be soothing for them, so sing, tell stories, chat around them to help them feel even more secure around you. That's a really good point, because they're new to the world, you know, and they've been fed on tap inside for all those weeks. Now they're out into this cold place. Yeah.
Yeah, and your voice and you just being there is, I'm sure, all the soothing that they need in those last. Yeah, I'm a big reader, and I buy books for all the children in my life because I think it's so important for them to get to know my voice. Obviously, I'm not the parent at all, but I like to hopefully they'll become very familiar with me. But yeah, reading's a really great opportunity to for that child to kind of hear your voice as well. So thank you for sharing. Really, really great question. Really great question. We'll take a couple more minutes before I introduce our next speaker. Yes, interesting comment about returning to work. Parents on the call, what has returning to work been like while you're breastfeeding? And as you're kind of putting your comments in the chat, Anthea, I mean, what are some of the concerns that parents come with, and what advice would you give around supporting themselves to breastfeed while doing that, and breastfeeding in public as well?
Yeah, I think anecdotally, we know that those concerns happen so early before you're even thinking of going, well, you're already thinking about going back to work when you're only just off, you know, and that worry. So I think it's about trying to relax, knowing that baby develops so much day on day, week on week. So yes, you can do some preparing, but don't try not to let it get too anxious that you're thinking about what am I going to do. And then nearer the time, look into it, look into expressing milk. But, there's no need to do too much too soon to do that planning, But again, go to the infant feeding groups, come and chat to the peer support teams, find out how other people managed it. And again, kind of, your milk supply, you know how it's working. But yeah, expressing milk is something that we can support with as well. And there's a good expressing and storing leaflet, the Breastfeeding Network online as well.
And I can see Yvette is busy sending some links as well into the chat, so please do have a look at those afterwards. Speaking of support and advice throughout the breastfeeding period and beyond, I would like to introduce our next very, very brief speaker, Jessie, are you on the call? Hello, Jessie. Nice to see you. How are you?
Hi, excellent. Lovely to meet you and lovely to see so many parents join the call today. Congratulations on your journey, parents. I've been there, I've done that. I was a mom who breastfed with no plan to breastfeed up until 2 years, but thankfully with the right support in place, much like the offerings that Brent Council offers, I was able to continue that journey. So I'm wishing you the best of luck, and I'd love to introduce a kind of digital support companion which is available for the area.
Great. Stephen, could you put the slides up for us, please? Thank you so much. Over to you, Jessie.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shona. So as you've heard, Brent Council has excellent offering of face-to-face support for all the parents out there, and I strongly recommend that you do take advantage of those offers. They will help you augment all the work that you're doing along your journey, and to help support your journey, Brent Council has brought in the Anya app. The Anya app is a free 24/7 parenting, pregnancy and baby feeding support on your phone. So those kind of 3 a.m. worries and you need to ask that question, we'll be able to help you with that. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes going through what are the features available in the app for you to access and start using. So if you could click along for me. So first and foremost, what makes Anya really special is we're developed by top parenting and breastfeeding experts with a #1 breastfeeding app on the digital app health stores. We are an NHS approved supplier, and our app is designed and co-developed with all the lactation consultants, midwives, nurses, health visitors, pharmacists, doula, and tongue-tie practitioners as well. So all the people that help build the support to make you as successful as possible on your journey are the same people who help to support and design the app as well. And if we can move along to the next one, thank you. So probably my favorite feature is that Ask Anya Anything, Anytime, 24/7. So within the app, there's a little button, looks like a baby, as you can see. If you click on that, Anya will be able to answer any questions you have. It is an AI model, but it's a very special AI model. It's not your kind of chat GBT. It's a model which is based on evidence-based information. And she also is super empathetic, Anya. So as you can see from some of the conversations here, you can type anything, something from breastfeeding pain, nipple pain, and she'll be able to support you and guide you along the way with support when you need it most. And we can move on to the next one, please. Thank you so much. And so also another thing that's really, really important, usually when you attend those kind of on-site clinics or online clinics with the IBCLC consultants, they'll run through the different breastfeeding positions which are available for you. And once those sessions are done, sometimes you need a little reminder or a little nudge about how to redo those positions. So there are breastfeeding animations which are available in the app to help guide you with getting that latch and practicing that latch in those different positions and making you feel confident. For me particularly, that side lying at nighttime was an absolute lifesaver when I'm feeling slightly tired, but I wanted baby to be able to latch on and feel comfortable. That's within the app. We also have a really good animation around looking at babies' hunger cues. So please do have a look at that. And if we head on next, what else do we have in the app? Again, another one of my favorite features. Perhaps you're not somebody who wants to talk to AI, and that's absolutely okay. You've got an option to talk directly to a specialist. So you can click the button to talk directly to a specialist within the app, and the specialists are your IBCLC consultants, your breastfeeding experts, and parent topic experts. And you also have the option to drop in on a web session. So if you can't make the sessions which are at the family wellbeing centres, you can join one of our specialists on call and they'll be able to support you. All right. If we head on over one more, I think it's just one more feature, which is probably one of my favorite ones. It's our virtual parenting communities. So what makes our parenting communities a little bit different? They're moderated by experts. So it's a safe place for you to come in and ask questions on a number of different topics, which best suit you and what you're looking to answer and your stage and age. And there, you'll get a response from a specialist. So you can be safe in the knowledge that all the information that you're getting within that community is vetted by our experts. And if we move along again, please. And then finally, there is a lot of information out there. There's a lot of brilliant information out there, but it can be really difficult to navigate that information, but especially if you're in first trimester or second or third or post, trying to navigate or do what I did, which was doom scroll through Google through all the information which is available, is really tough. So what we do is when you sign up to the app, we will give you the right information at the right stage and age for you and baby. We also have, if you could head on to the next slide for me, Stephen, a really brilliant antenatal program. So I strongly recommend if you are at that, if you're in trimester 1, 2, or 3, when you download the app, go in there and have a look at the antenatal program. It has everything from what you really need to pack in your hospital bag, all the way to you're the first one in your family to breastfeed, and other things like handling morning sickness, cold sores, bloods, etc. It's all within that program, and that's a mixture of webs, videos, and articles to read. Okay, and then finally, if we head on over, how do I get the app? Is it truly free? Absolutely. Stephen, if you could head over to the next page for me. So the brilliant thing is Brent Council has made our premium version of the app available for you for the next 1001 days. That's from the point of pregnancy all the way up through to baby's age of 2. So yes, when you get to 6 months and we're thinking about transitioning to food, that support is still available for you within the app. How do you do it? What you need to do is scan this QR code on the screen. You can do that now just by taking your camera on your mobile phone app. It's available on Android and Google Store as, Android and the Apple Store as well. Or you can search for the app and type in Anya Health and the app will appear on the screen. You just need to make sure you enter your full Brent postcode on the app. That will give you the full access. So when you go to sign up for the app, make sure you enter your full postcode to be upgraded to the premium version. And that access is available for 1001 days. What happens after 2? We'll just return you back to your baseline freemium version of the app. And that's it. I'd love to hear any feedback, comments. Please feel free to write it in the chat, or if anyone has any questions before we finish, happy to answer any of those.
Thank you so much, Jessie. That really was whistle stop tour through of Anya, because I know there's so much good stuff in there. And there isn't just good stuff on Anya. There's loads of support, as we mentioned, across the borough, from infant feeding clinics, support with home starts, breastfeeding support, and some breastfeeding telephone lines as well. And our Brent Council website, which has lots of information that is needed for all of you during the earliest start in your baby's life. So thank you so much, Jason, for all those who have been helping with sending out resources and things this afternoon. If we take us to the next slide, please. We mentioned earlier about the importance of getting yourself signed up and supported by a local family wellbeing centre. There are 8 across the borough. So there is something for everyone, and probably one very, very close to you. So please do get in touch, register, and find out what services are available completely for free for all of you and for the people in your family. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who has attended today, and to all our speakers. We've actually come to the very end of our presentation now. So just a quick review. The slides will be shared with everyone after the call, so do not worry. Don't forget to sign up with your local family wellbeing centre. We're going to drop a link into the chat now, which is a very quick survey, just 1 minute, to find out more about whether you'd like to do this kind of thing again, because I've really enjoyed it. I think my colleagues have, and we'd love to have a space for you guys to kind of talk, chat, and share information about all the stuff that's happening for parents, and how we can make sure that we have services that are reflective of what you need. So thank you again to Anthea, to Jessie, and for those who have helped with tech support, and thank you all for coming. We wanted to end the day, the afternoon I should say, with something special. As I mentioned, this is all part of our Start for Life programme, and Jayshree in particular, and a few other colleagues have been working really hard over the last few months to make sure that your voice is captured, so that feeds into the services that are created. And so we have this very short video from Brent families and they just kind of talk about their breastfeeding journey. It'll be available on YouTube after this. And after that, I will then end this course. So thank you again, and enjoy the video.
I am exclusively breastfeeding my son, been lucky enough to be able to do so with a bit of help. I really wanted to do it because of so many benefits for breastfeeding, both for my son in terms of things like building his immunity, protecting him against different kind of infections, but also the bonding that it brings us both by being able to breastfeed.
With my first son, we stayed at the hospital when he was first born for about 1 week, 10 days, and I really wanted to breastfeed him, but I couldn't for some medical reasons. The amount of milk that he drank had to be monitored, so instead I had to give him a bottle. And then after that, he would not go back to breastfeeding at all. So that was the challenge that I faced, and I was very persistent. I wanted him to go back to breastfeeding. مع ابني الأول نحن بقينا بالمستشفى جمعة 10 أيام من أول ما ولد. فاضطرينا أنه نعطيه قنينة بدل ما يرضع، فبطل يرجع ياخد صدري. فهيدا كان أصعب شي بالنسبة لي، لأنه أنا كان بدي إياه يرضع.
I regularly have conversations with new mums about their breastfeeding journey, and one thing that comes up a lot is how much milk they're producing and if they have enough supply. Now, one thing I really want to reassure parents of is the body is amazing. The body produces what it needs for your baby. So key things that you can really do to support your supply is to feed on demand, bring your baby to the breast as much as possible, possible. Keep calm and relaxed and make sure that you have everything you need for each breastfeed that you're doing, and seek that support if you do need that reassurance as well.
So if you are thinking about giving up, it's definitely important that you consult your midwife or health visitor, and involving them into your experience as well.
Breastfeeding may be challenging for some parents. However, there's lots of things you can do to get breastfeeding right. First things is, before baby arrives, attend antenatal classes where you will get lots of information and support around breastfeeding. You can also start collecting your colostrum, that's the early breast milk, from 36 to 37 weeks. Speak to your midwife about it first before you start. Thirdly, once baby arrives, spend lots of time keeping your baby skin to skin, ensuring that you position and attach your baby correctly to the breast. And if breastfeeding is challenging for you, seek help from your midwife, your support worker in the community, and there's lots of children's centers that offers lots of feeding support. Please contact your midwives, your health visitors for extra support if required. But do not give up breastfeeding.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Thank you again for taking the time to be here. We will make sure that we send round the slides and FAQs of all your questions as well after this meeting. So thank you again and have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.